Tat Twam Asi. You are that. That thou art. This one is an instruction, actually, from a guru to a student. And there's a beautiful story in the Chandogya Upanishad of a father teaching this to his son, the father being like a guru to the son. And I'm going to read it too. I'm going to read the whole story because it's just lovely. But so to understand, right, we've said the self is Brahman. If the self is Brahman, then I am Brahman. And there is no difference. If there are no differences, if everything is consciousness and everything is one in consciousness, then you too are Brahman. And that's what the guru tries to help the student understand. You are that. Now, ideally, this should be from a self-realized guru to a student. And yet, each one of us has enough realization to know I am that. And so we can also make that an offering to those we love. So, but I am going to read the story before we do our exercises for this one. And oops. So this is like a 12-year-old kid named Swetaketu. And when he was 12 years old, his father sent him to learn at the feet of a guru, and he came back and he was just full of himself about how brilliant he was. And then the father, started asking him questions, and Svetaketu really didn't know. So Swetaketu, being a good child, said, "Well, Father, then will you teach me?" Don't you wish your kids would say that? So he says to his father, "What is now that knowledge?" So the father was talking about the enlightened knowledge, and the kid really wasn't getting it. He just thought he was. So what is that knowledge, sir? Asks Swetaketu. And the father responds, "My child, as by knowing one lump of clay, all things made of clay are known, the difference being only in name and arising from speech, and the truth being that all are clay. As by knowing a nugget of gold, all things made of gold are known, the difference being only in name and arising from speech, and the truth being that all are gold. Exactly so is that knowledge, knowing which we all know. But surely those venerable teachers of Swetaketu responds, but surely those venerable teachers of mine are ignorant of this knowledge, for if they possessed it, they would have taught it to me. Do you, therefore, sir, give me that knowledge?" "Be it so," said Udalaka, and continued thus. "In the beginning, there was existence, one only, without a second." Remember, that's one of the other Mahavakyas. "Some say that in the beginning there was non-existence only, and then out of that the universe was born. But how could such a thing be? How could existence be born of non-existence? No, my son, in the beginning there was existence alone, only one, without a second. He, the one, or we could say she, the one, thought to herself, 'Let me be many, let me grow forth.' Thus, out of herself, she projected the universe. And having projected out of herself the universe, she entered into every being and everything. All that is has itself in her alone. She is the truth. She is the subtle essence of all. She is the self, and that Swadhyamasi, that thou art. Please, sir, tell me more about this self. Be it so, my child. As the bees make honey by gathering juices from many flowering plants and trees, and as these juices, reduced to one honey, do not know from what flowers they severally come, similarly, my son, all creatures, when they are merged in that one existence, whether in dreamless sleep or in death, know nothing of their past or present state because of the ignorance enveloping them. Know not that they are merged in her, and that from her they came. Whatever these creatures are, whether a lion or a tiger or a boar or a worm or a gnat or a mosquito, that they remain after they come back from dreamless sleep. All these have their self in the Brahman alone. She is the truth. She is the subtle essence of all. She is the self. And that, Swadhyamasi, that thou art. Tat Twam Asi. Please, sir, tell me more about this self. Be it so, my son. The rivers in the east flow eastward, the rivers in the west flow westward, and all enter into the sea. From sea to sea they pass, the clouds lifting them to the sky as vapor and sending them down as rain. And as these rivers, when they are united with the sea, do not know whether they are this or that river, likewise, all those creatures that I have named, when they have come back from Brahman, know not whence they came. All those beings have their self in Brahman alone. Brahman is the truth. Brahman is the subtle essence of all. Brahman is the self, and that, Swadhyamasi, that thou art. Tat Twam Asi. Please, sir, tell me more about this self. Be it so, my child. If someone were to strike once at the root of this large tree, it would bleed but live. If he were to strike at its stem, it would bleed but live. If he were to strike at the top, it would bleed but live. Pervaded by the living self, this tree stands firm and takes its food. But if the self were to depart from one of its branches, that branch would wither. If it were to depart from a second, that would wither. If it were to depart from a third, that would wither. If it were to depart from the whole tree would wither. Likewise, my son, know this. The body dies when the self leaves it, but the self dies not. All that is has itself in Brahman alone. Brahman is the truth. Brahman is the subtle essence of all. Brahman is the self. And that, Swadhyamasi, that thou art. Tat Twam Asi. Please, sir, tell me more about the self. Be it so. Bring a fruit of the Nyagroda tree. Here it is, sir. Break it. It is broken, sir. What do you see? Some seeds, extremely small, sir. Break one of them. It is broken, sir. What do you see? Nothing, sir. The subtle essence you do not see, and in that is the whole of the Nyagroda tree. Believe, my son, that which is the subtle essence, in that have all things their existence. That is the truth. That is the self, and that, Swadhyamasi, that thou art. Tat Twam Asi. Please, sir, tell me more about this self. Be it so. Put this salt in water and come to me tomorrow morning. Swadhyamasi did as he was bidden. The next morning, his father asked him to bring the salt which he had put in the water. But he could not, for it had dissolved. Then said Udalaka, sip the water and tell me how it tastes. It is salty, sir. In the same way, continued Udalaka, though you do not see the Brahman in this body, it is here indeed. That which is the subtle essence, in that have all things their existence. That is the truth. That is the self. And that's Svadiketu, that thou art, Tat Twam Asi. Please, sir, tell me more about this self, said the youth again. Be it so, my child. As a man may be blindfolded and led away and left in a strange place, and as having been so dealt with, he turns in every direction and cries out for someone to remove his bandages and show him the way home, and as one thus entreated may lose his bandages and give him comfort, and as thereupon he walks from village to village asking his way as he goes, and as he arrives home at last, just so does a man who meets with an illumined teacher obtain true knowledge. That which is the subtle essence, in that have all beings their existence. That is the truth, that is the self, and that, O Svadiketu, that thou art, Tat Twam Asi. Please, sir, tell me more about this self. Be it so, my child. When a man is fatally ill, his relations gather round him and ask, do you know me? Do you know me? Now, until his speech is merged in his mind in his breath in his vital heat in the Supreme Being, he knows them. But when his speech is merged in his mind in his breath in his vital heat in the Supreme Being, then he does not know them. That which is the subtle essence, in that have all beings their existence. That is the truth, that is the self, and that, O Svadiketu, that thou art, Tat Twam Asi.